Yo, Devy Junkies, Brandon here, host of the Devy Deep Dive podcast and creator of the Devy Dashboard. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It is the Devy Huddle every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern here on this YouTube channel. Here with my Dashboard supporters. Love you guys. I'm here with Rich, Daniel, Sam, and special guest. We got Britt Sanders, part of the Devy community as well, the Dashboard community. We can always count on a great hat with Britt. So he always has a great hat. But, you know, I'm really excited about today's show, right? So what we usually do, we're going to go through some news and notes. We're going to go through like a stock player up and down. And, you know, then I've got like a burning question for the week. But what we actually talked after last week's show about doing a film grind of a up and coming 2025 prospect, right? So, you know, you're probably thinking to yourself, 2025, holy smokes. Yeah. We're going to go a little deep, man. You know, let's get a first glimpse at some of these young players that we're going to be talking about in the offseason, the incoming freshmen. And today we're going to talk about Luther Burden. He just committed to Missouri. So we're going to have that at the end of the show. So stick around for that. So how are you guys doing tonight, man? You guys ready to talk some Devy?
Ready to rock and roll?
Oh, absolutely. Astros are losing.
Right,
I'm
man.
happy.
I'm sorry, what's that?
The Astros are losing. I'm happy.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Same.
I started. That makes me happy as well.
So, yeah, so let's talk about just kind of some news first. You know, two topics I wanted to get into. So JT Daniels apparently is practicing this week. I mean, what are our thoughts? Are we going to, you know, Daniel, I know for you especially, you've been a JT Daniels guy. You've been on the show quite a few times talking to JT Daniels. What do you think? Do you think they go with him or Stenson? Who are they going to stick with?
I don't know who they're going to go with, to be honest, but I know they should go with JT Daniels. Stetson Bennett is getting the job done, you could say, but I mean, it's a great team. It's an elite defense.
Right. We
kind of saw him do that last year a little bit. You know, he strung together some really good games, and then he just completely melted down and fell apart there. So
right.
I think JT Daniels gives them the higher ceiling. I really do. And, I'm bummed that he has this injury that I haven't been able to see what he can actually do, with that team this year. So I'm hoping for JT Daniels, but I don't know. I don't really have a read on what direction they're going.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd love to see JT Daniels. I mean, I don't think he's really an NFL quarterback, so to speak. I think he could maybe be a backup. I don't know if I see him as a starter. I mean, unless he just kills it for the rest of the year, but, he's been a little inconsistent through his career. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I mean, with Daniels, the talent isn't the question. It's the injuries. I mean, with him playing, he elevates that offense. Their defense is obviously, the best in the country.
Right.
Stetson Bennett, he's serviceable, but when you get up against teams like Florida, Bama, the big dogs, you need JT Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if he is capable enough to play, then he needs to play. Because this is a huge rivalry game. I understand Georgia's number one, but you can throw that out the window. Florida's coming to play.
Yeah, I think their defense is certainly elite. It should be their road to the championship game anyway. So, what I wanted to talk about really as far as news, there's been a lot of chatter lately over the last couple of weeks. I wanted to get your guys' thought process on a lot of prospects now. With COVID, we had all these guys kind of opt out, the Jamar Chases and for certain, reasons, a lot of the COVID guys, and it didn't seem to hurt their draft stock. So, now there's this theory and thought process of the guys that have, produced early in their college careers, and they are at the top of our DB lists, a lot of probably top of draft lists, so two guys that come to name is, Bijan Robinson and Butte, two guys that I don't think need to really prove anything more. So there's been a lot of chatter on those guys, possibly just like opting out, their second and third year, respectively, or third and second, respectively. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think this is a pattern going forward where we're going to see moving forward? And do you feel that that's the right choice for these players to make? I mean, do you think it's going to hurt their draft stock, or do you think they're doing the right thing by kind of preserving their bodies, really training for the NFL, because that's what they would be doing if they're not playing ball, is to really focus on, really improving their skill sets, getting to the NFL. What are your guys' thoughts?
It's going to be interesting to see how the NIL plays an influence into this, because a lot of what we had with Chase and all them and Terrace Marshall opting out in season is they had no financial incentive to stay. And so if you're in that point, it's early. In my opinion, it's too early for a Bijan or a Butte to opt out, even though they have the production at a young age. You still want to see at least 2 years of it consistent. You want to see a continual kind of grade. And if they let their junior, I'm fine with that. Like, secure your body, take care of yourself, secure the bag. But if you're leaving, $500,000 on the table in NIL deals, it'd be really tough to say no to that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that is. But if a player wants to opt out that has the production and everything, I have no issues with that personally. I actually would encourage it, quite frankly, if I was a family member.
Same.
So that NIL, I'm not really familiar with like all the details. You're saying that they can't get that money if they don't play?
Well, I mean, they very well could be, but it would be interesting to see how it happens. I would assume that they would be they would have less incentivization for the companies to invest in that if they're not playing for the year. Because the whole thing is that as they do better, your name and brand is out there as we're talking about it, featuring it. And, us people, we have a really short attention span. So someone that's not being constantly thrown in your face every Saturday for 8 months, people kind of forget about them, and that could potentially impact them financially.
Right.
Realistically, so from a fantasy world, we're looking at 4, maybe 5 every year that have the draft capital already secured that can hold out. You're talking about Bijan, Butte, Michael Mayer, potentially Bryce Young. I don't think that he could because of what happened with all the quarterbacks this year, but those types of guys, right? So they should hold out. Not hold out, but they should opt out, right? Because at that point, you're guaranteed day 1, day 2 draft capital. That's way more money than NIL. And even then, those type of guys can get the NIL. And the companies that are paying them say, hey, this dude's going to be a first round pick. This is going to help me in the long run. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's like 4 or 5 guys per year from a fantasy aspect. Obviously, I'm not including defensive players and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
It's
just
going to be mostly, just those studs, really. I don't think it's going to be super commonplace to see guys opt out. We saw a lot more guys opt out last year than I think we'll see again because of COVID. That was just a totally different situation. But yeah, I mean, in like Bijan's case, I think he should definitely opt out after this year. For Keyshawn, I'm a little more on the fence because I feel like teams might want to see him come back from injury and be healthy. But it's really just a case-by-case basis and what they hear from NFL teams. Each guy, the team's coaches know what the NFL thinks of their guys, and they're going to let him know. He's going to be advised, our team's worried about your injury, are they not? And he'll act as such. But I think, it's just a case-by-case basis, and whatever the NFL thinks of them. If they are confident that they're going to go round 1, then by all means, I would say opt out.
Yeah, I agree. It's always do what's best for yourself, for your family, man. Yesterday, quick little story. I was driving to work. I decided I was going to go to work. It's like the worst storm we've had in Sacramento in quite a long time. Actually, the reports were saying since 1877, this was the most rain we'd had in a 24-hour period. And I commute to work. So I'm driving to work, and about halfway there, after almost getting in about 3 accidents, I made a business decision, right? A health decision. I said, fuck this. I'm not risking my life today for a day of work. And I turned around and I went home. So I will always opt on the side of safety and doing what's best for your family. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the top guys. I don't think it's going to be commonplace. I was just thinking more of the top, 5 to 10 players overall, offensive and defensive. So it should be interesting to see, what Bijan does. Butte, I agree with you. He should come back. I mean, sophomores shouldn't do that. Maybe juniors going into their senior year, but not otherwise. All right, let's get to our stock watch segment. This is where we're going to talk about some players that we're excited about. I will kick this off, and I want to talk about Mr. Jamison Williams of Alabama. I spent the last 2 days cutting up his film from week 1 through 8. I'll be putting that out on this YouTube channel and sharing it with all you guys on the dashboard shortly. Really impressed. I think this is a guy we have to be kind of impressed with, the fact that he was, an Ohio State commit, couldn't get on the field with all the talent they got in that wide receiver room, goes to Alabama and is basically, leading the team. And is I think kind of, I'm going to say, leapfrog Mechie as the go-to explosive player. I mean, I think, again, watching his film, He lines up all over the field. He played this year. He's played 75% of his slots out wide, 25% in the slot. So he's a versatile piece. And when you watch this film, when I put it out, you're going to see that they hand the ball off to him. He's doing wide receiver screens. He's a skinny, like fluid kind of player, but he's got the speed, and you see he's got the big play making ability. And again, going to Alabama, we know what the hit rate is on Alabama wide receivers, even though he's only going to play this year. Now, he's a junior. He may very well come back for his senior year and, do what a lot of these guys do, like Olave. They come back, and Devonta Smith, they come back for their senior year. So he may not go to the NFL this year, but I can tell you right now, looking at my mock drafts, you guys know I'm a big mock draft guy. Looking at these things, I mean, he is sneaking up into early day 2 conversation, and there's little whispers out there of possibly day 1, getting into that first round. But and the other thing too is really impressive is the fact that he can kick the ball. If he has 2 touchdowns on kick returns this year, so he's going to be able to add to a team with special teams, being involved in that part of the game. So I think that's also, a plus. The only thing he did watching the film is, he did have 5 drops that were like right in his hands. But I don't know. I don't get too hung up on drops and drop rate and all that. I think that's something that people can, guys can continue to work on the jug machine and get better at. But I mean, this guy right now, I'm kind of, tweaking my ranks, on a weekly basis. And I just moved him up to overall, Devy wide receiver 10 overall. I think that's how much I like this kid. On the season, he's got 35 receptions, 710 yards, 6 TDs, and he's averaging 20 yards a catch. And he's got yak ability. He averages 10 yards per yak per play. So he's a big, explosive receiver. He's 6'2", 190. He's a little on the skinny side, but I think he's athletic. One thing, too, I'd like to see a little bit more of. I'd like to be critical of these guys. Not everything is, rainbows and butterflies. Is, his physicality at the catch point. Could probably be a little better, but overall, man, Jameson Williams is a stock up for me. Just to kick off this segment, I'm super excited about him. I think he's got a bright future.
Okay.
Piper just ranked him at number 2 in his 2022 wide receiver rankings.
Who did?
Very interesting. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that guy's plugged into NFL circles. So
Mel Kiper had London 1 and Williams 2.
Nice. London's been killing it too, man. So Jameson Williams, man, he's really he's impressed. So hey, Dan, who's your stock watch segment player?
So I was going between 2 running backs that I feel like need a little bit more love, in Brian Robinson and Jerome Ford. Today I'm going to talk about Jerome Ford. This is a guy that I went back and watched some film. I watched the 4 touchdown performance he had, which was, impressive by any measure you want to take at it. But, watching some of his other film, I was really impressed with some areas of his game. He's patient. He seems to read his blocks well. He's got that short area quickness. He also has the long speed, which is one of the things I was most impressed with after watching some film. I think this is a guy that could, he could run in the high 4.3s, low 4.4s, I think, at the combine. And I think that would elevate his stock even more at 215, 220 pounds, whatever he's at right now. He's not a perfect prospect. There's a lot of these running backs that we talk about that kind of fall into this range of, are they a day 2 guy? Are they a day 3 guy? His pass protection, I wasn't overly impressed with his pass protection. I think he needs a little bit of work there, but he's a competent pass catcher. I wouldn't call that a strength, but he's competent enough to catch the ball. Because of the pass blocking issues that I kind of, deciphered through, I think he might be more of a first and second down guy in the NFL. But hey, man, the guy that he actually reminded me of when I was watching it was Elijah Mitchell a little bit. I saw a little bit of that, and Elijah Mitchell right now is doing well in that role in San Francisco. So I could certainly see him sneaking into day 2, potentially early day 3, and earning a role on an NFL team.
I like it. Now, I did a film on his every carry last year in 2020 and put it on the YouTube channel, right? And every touchdown he had last year, there was a lot of broken tackles, and I didn't come away super impressed, So it's like a learning thing for me as we all continue to learn to like watch film and everything, that these players get better with year after year, So we have to expect that in the off season, you get a freshman and a sophomore. Sometimes I can be critical, maybe too critical, but know that every year can be a different year. And, he didn't get the bell cow role last year, but he is this year, and he's certainly producing. So things can change year to year, man. I love the call, Dan. All right, Rich, who do you got?
Yeah, so this weekend on Sunday, I went back and rewatched the Georgia Tech Virginia game. I posted this on Twitter, just kind of my thoughts. So I just wanted to mention two people. One's kind of an honorable mention, and then my stock up guy. The first guy I wanted to talk, I'm going to butcher his first name, Teon Thompson. He's a wide receiver for Virginia. He's actually a converted quarterback. He's got great size, and the commentators continually said you can't tackle him, right? So I think he had over 100 yards, and the guy has a broken hand. So that just shows you like his talent. Now, just wanted to kind of mention him. My stock up guy though is Dontavian Wicks. He's also a wide receiver for Virginia. This kind of goes along with Sam's guy that he's been touting on Twitter, Brendan Armstrong. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He's kind of a redshirt sophomore. I don't know really how they classify the COVID year. He missed all of last year. He got a knee injury. I think it was an ACL in August. So he missed all of last year. So far this year, he's Armstrong's top wide receiver. He's got 38 receptions, 847 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's got a 26% market share and a 27.9% weighted dominator. All right. So he's getting the bulk of the work in the receiving game. So he has the ability to win in multiple ways. He had 2 touchdowns this past weekend against Georgia Tech. The first one was a jump ball. It was a fade. And he jumped over the cornerback and the safety. They were double teaming him. He jumped over him and just high pointed the ball. It was a really, really great play. And then the second play was against man. Armstrong took the snap, quick pass off to the side. He made the cornerback miss, and he just outran everybody, 77 yards for a touchdown. So he has a lot of tools that we're looking for. Now, I don't know if he's going to go into the draft this year or come back with Armstrong and play again next year. But I actually think that he has the talent to make our dynasty rosters whenever he does decide to declare for the draft.
Nice. I like it. I can't say that I've watched a lot on him. He's in my queue though to, make a film on. So
I was very impressed.
Cool. Sam, who you got?
Yeah. Before I say mine, I've watched a lot of Armstrong and totally agree. Every time I've watched him, both of those guys have popped off the screen with big plays here and there. So good shouts for sure. As for my guy, it's funny. Every time I get to the sheet, I'm the last one to fill it out, and everyone's got a stock up guy. So I just feel like I have to go stock down.
Good. I like it.
Versatile player on this segment, but going stock down on Marvin Mims. After he had about 3 weeks ago, he had a pretty big performance. I was high on him coming into the year. He was, one of the top guys in his class, 2023 class for me. Great freshman year, had like 600 yards, 9 touchdowns as a true freshman. And he's just been so disappointing this year. He had, as I was starting to mention, he had a big game, like I want to say 3 weeks ago, had like 150 yards and a touchdown, or maybe even 2 touchdowns. And since then, I think hasn't even put up 100 yards total in the last 2 games. He had 14 yards in the last game. I don't know what's going on. I do think he's a pretty talented player from what I've watched, but I don't know. They're just not looking at him. He's not getting the right kind of production. Maybe he's not getting open as much as I thought he would be able to. Maybe Caleb Williams just doesn't like him. Not sure. But you would think in an offense that explosive now with Caleb Williams at the helm that you would start to put up more production, but it's been the opposite. So Marvin Mims is definitely a faller for me.
Yeah, and maybe it has something to do too with just Rattler being like super inconsistent. Now you got Williams,
Right.
We're gonna have to find out who he really is going to target on that offense. So but yeah, listen, I can't disagree with you with the fact that he's, the production has gone down.
Yeah.
And we were talking pre-show that things can change in a heartbeat with these players up and down from year to year. So, I like the call. We'll see what happens between now and the end of the year. So, Brittany,
the one and only.
You got, buddy?
Yeah, I got Zach Charbonnet. I know that it's a little chalky per se, but I feel like he's kind of fallen off in terms of people in the hype bubble. He popped week 1 against Hawaii. He popped week 3, and then it's just kind of been, he's just doing what he's doing. But I think if he comes out this class, he's got a strong argument to being the 4th running back off in like my rankings right now, quite honestly. On the year, he's got a 1.56 yard per team attempt, which shows that he's being efficient. He's only getting 36.15% of the team's rushing yards, but off of that, has 42.98% of those rushing yards. Or excuse me, he's 36.15% of the rush attempts and nearly half the rushing yards. And he's also mustering a 6.5 target share. For me, I think that he needs to be talked about more. I think we kind of have a sour taste from Michigan, and I truly think he's going to be one of those guys that you're going to get in your second round of your dynasty or rookie league your rookie picks. That's going to be able to give you payoff dividends.
Yeah, you know what I think it is? We live, and I just put a tweet out there this afternoon about something else somebody was talking about. We live in a "what have you done for me lately" society. I mean, we really do. So, he was the flavor the first 2 weeks when he popped, but now it's somebody else, right? And I think people haven't lost interest in him, so to speak. I think when the season's over and everyone's like analyzing and then doing their ranks and seeing just how productive he was, he may kind of be back in the spotlight. So I like the up call on the stock watch because I agree with you. I think he is going to has the ability. He's got that great size for the NFL, and give me the thicker, bigger back over these smaller guys any day of the week. So
seems like another guy that's going to test really well at the combine. Also,
I think he's going to surprise some people.
Good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Charbonnet. I have him as my RB5 for the class.
Nice. Nice. All right, so let's go to our burning question of the week. This is a question that I'm very interested, just to speculate. As we all know, Spencer Rattler kind of lost his gig, and he now has to. Rumors out there that he is taking Oklahoma off his Instagram account or something to those effects. One of these social media platforms. I don't know which one, but. So the thought process is he's now going to transfer, right? He's going to move on to another school potentially. So, I said to the guys, getting ready for the show tonight, let's talk about some teams that potentially, that he could potentially go to and maybe provide some reasons. So, Dan, I'll let you start this one off. What are you thinking?
Sure. Let me start by saying that Kenny Pickett had better come through for me, and live up to the hype, because these JT Daniels and my Spencer Rattler takes are not aging well right now. So, but we were joking about that before, right? You're gonna hit on less than you
absolutely.
So that's just
don't
the way
worry
it is.
about it. We still love you, Dan. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Pickett's gonna come through for me. I feel it. Now, I do think. So this is more of where I would like to see him go. I do think there's, at least a decent chance he goes, but I would love to see him in Texas. I think, Casey Thompson he's a senior this year, so he probably going to be moving on after this. Hudson Card really flashed briefly, very briefly, and then, faded away into the desert sun, not to be heard from again. So I think there will be an opening for a guy like Spencer Rattler that could potentially come in and, get that tutelage under Sarkisian and potentially, build that brand back up. You know what I mean? He's talented enough. I don't think talent has ever been the issue with Rattler. It's, I don't know, man. It's the immaturity, the mental aptitude, whatever it is. But I think, playing for a guy like that, I think could really boost his stock. And handing the ball off to Bijan, assuming Bijan plays, of course, doesn't opt out, could only do, pay more dividends for him down the road. So I really like that fit.
Go back to Texas just as a side note. I mean, Hudson Card, Christ, man, they gave the guy a game and a half and just ripped the rug out from underneath him, So, if that's all you're going to give the guy, I guess.
Real quick on the Texas, how amazing would it be for him to go to Texas and then turn around and beat Oklahoma?
Yeah,
that would be
how
awesome.
Amazing would that be? I'm not even a Texas fan, and I would love it.
All right, Rich, who do you got?
All right, so I think this has probably become the popular opinion, but as soon as he got benched, we started talking about transfers. This just made sense to me. Him going to Ole Miss. Him and Lane Kiffin are a match made in heaven. Obviously, Corral's going to be moving on to the NFL. They have the freshman, I think it's the Altmaier. He's not Spencer Rattler. So If Rattler were to go to Ole Miss and link up with Lane Kiffin, it would be amazing.
Yeah, listen, that it certainly would be a good thing. And for me, I just threw Kentucky in here to go along with, the Ole Miss just to get into the SEC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think, for him, right, if you're gonna transfer, do you want to go to Texas again and play in the same conference, or do you want to say, hey, you know what? Get yourself right. Go to the best if you want aspirations of going to the NFL. And I think Mark Stoops has that program on the right track. Now Will Levis, I don't know. He's a junior, I believe, this year. There's some people out on Twitter saying he is, an NFL prospect. I'm not so sure. He may come back as a senior. So that may not be a landing spot if he doesn't, move on to the NFL or gets that capital. Wan'Dale Robinson would be a nice, exciting. I would be concerned about the pieces of Wan'Dale Robinson. It sounds like he's going to go to the NFL this year, but you never know with these juniors, man. A lot of these guys want to come back and play their senior year if they're trending upward. But I just picked Kentucky here only to go to an SEC school after you took Ole Miss, just to throw it out there for conversation. Because I think if I'm guiding Spencer Rattler, I'm going to get his head straight and say, hey, why don't you go to the best conference in college football and prove yourself to the world that you are worthy of a first round, QB1 selection in the 2020 draft, because there's no way he's going to the draft this year.
Like you said, though, Kentucky's building something there too. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they have some pretty good pieces coming in, even if Robinson does go to the NFL. So he's going to have the pieces. He's also in the SEC East. Which isn't as strong as obviously the SEC West. So, I mean, it's a great landing spot.
Yeah. So,
Excuse me.
Bless you.
No problem. All right, Britt, who you got, bud?
I chose a place that I think he would like to go. Not that I necessarily think is the best spot for him. I chose USC. I'm just kind of projecting him and who I anticipate him as a human being. And to me, he seems like he likes a spotlight. He likes attention. He likes kind of being in the frame. He likes being a now. And when I think of spots that are open, Keaton Slovis clearly isn't the guy. So they're very obviously happy to roll with someone else. There's going to be a brand new head coach that's going to be able to pitch Spencer Rattler the bestest dreams of actually building something there, starting off right and making it happen. And USC is a huge market. Granted, it's Pac-12, which is absolute bottom. But I think the fact that it is in California, it's near LA, and then you're also adding on the fact of a brand new head coach building something there. They got decent weapons. It kind of works for me personally.
Yeah, you know what? I think, not to play devil's advocate, I think him being in the spotlight and in a big showy town is exactly what he doesn't need. He needs to be he needs to be grounded. He needs to settle in and get off the Twitter or whatever. You know what I mean? His head has been so large since he was a young man. Man, this is like this is a wake up call for him. So wherever he goes, I hope he changes his attitude. But we got one more.
That would make me cry.
What's that?
That would make me cry.
I know exactly.
That would make me cry because
Jackson Dart. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Sam hasn't gone yet, and this isn't his pick. If he wants to go to the big city, UCLA with Chip Kelly.
Yeah, that's another thought. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I was just going to say Hollywood and Spencer Rattler might not be a great pairing.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, who you got?
Well, I agree with the Hollywood being a bad match, which is why I think my pick is a good one. Arizona State. It's actually where he's from, a hometown guy. Go back to where he's from, see his family and all that. Get grounded, like you said. Play in the Pac-12. I see the SEC argument. Totally get it. Best of the best. Prove yourself. At the same time, it could go the opposite direction. It's like, hey, maybe I got to get myself right, get a little easier competition. Find some open receivers once in a while. Not be getting picked off every game. Things like that. So I think that could really help him out. I don't know. I don't feel terribly confident in that one. I like the Ole Miss pick as well. That's one way I almost went to. But I think he could go to his hometown and face some easier competition. Jaden Daniels might declare for the draft this year. So, yeah.
I think that's normally what people happen too.
Sorry?
What's that?
No, I think that's normally what people happen. If they struggle, they too tend to transfer closer to home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
it
makes sense.
I kind of see Jaden Daniels as a guy that's going to come back though for one more year with Herm Edwards.
Yeah,
so it would depend on that.
He's been getting some buzz lately.
Mm-hmm. He's He's got to
You know,
put on some
something
size.
Draft was.
Yeah.
Something tells me for Spencer Rattler, though, like to go to a school that he can showcase his skills and be kind of the man in the spotlight, but not go too big of a program. I feel like he needs to rebuild his confidence a little bit, and I think throwing him at Ole Miss might just, if he just can't handle it. I don't know. That's just my thought process.
I'm just going to say this about ASU. He's going to get in as much trouble at ASU as he would at USC. That is a school that just breeds trouble.
That I've heard that as well.
That's fair.
I know a couple people that have gone there. And, yeah.
Well played.
Appalachian State it is, right?
Liberty.
Hey,
from the
let's send it to
Flames.
Syracuse. Let's send it to Syracuse.
Right.
Please.
All right, I'm going to try something different here. We're going to get into this last segment here, and I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to do this let's see how this works. Where can I share my screen? Here we go. We're going to share the screen. All right, so our film grind session, all right, guys, is going to be on Luther Burden. All right, he was just in the news this week for anybody who, in the Devy world didn't realize. He is a 6-foot receiver, 200 pounds. He had commits in this video we're going to watch. We're going to grind his film right now. We're going to watch a little bit of it. And I've got a little intro where he actually is making his announcements, which will be pretty cool. But he chose Missouri, but he got picks from Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama, Arizona State, number wide receiver 2 in the class. So, as part of this every Tuesday night thing, we're going to just take a 2025 prospect and start getting familiar and start getting a jump start on next year. All right. So let me get his film here where it is. All right. You guys ready?
Yep. Let's roll.
Yep.
So that's how he announced
his dad was so busted for a minute there.
Yeah. So this is this film, guys. This is a 5-minute film, and I'm going to let it roll. We're not going to stop it and run around. We're just going to, kind of talk about it, see what we see. I've always kind of felt that it's really hard high school film's hard to watch because these guys that are so big and so, at the top of their class in each position are usually bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic than their competition, right? But you can see, the guy's got, really good contact balance there.
Plus angles like this, like you can't see it until he's practically in the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. And
high school film is tough to evaluate, man. It's some choppy film we're working with
really
on a lot of this stuff.
He's got nice size to him.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely.
I think he's 600 already as a high schooler.
Yeah.
He's got some speed to him too at 200 already.
Definitely.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I thought so as well. He's physical.
Yeah,
he's break some tackles physical on some of these,
and he's athletic and fast. Here's a guy took a bad angle there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, see him drag those guys.
Yeah, he's definitely got
3-4 defenders. Yeah,
you'll love to see it.
Concentration on the catch there.
I was just going to say, nice concentration there.
But I'm psyched to do this segment, guys, because we're going to get familiar. This time, we do this every Tuesday night. We're going to get through so many prospects by the time the summer rolls around. At least we'll have eyeballs on this stuff together, right? So we can, just at least be familiar with who they are.
He's got a really nice, almost a dead leg cut. He does use it quite a bit.
Last one was as good as the camera work.
Deadly as hell.
Yep, right there.
Yeah, good vision right there, right? Turning that guy around.
Nice earring. See, they're trying to keep it away from him.
Little returnability. It's always nice to see.
Yeah. I always say players that are able to be on special teams and actually do stuff like this translates really, really well.
Yeah.
He's got some good speed.
Yeah, he does for his size.
It seems like he has another gear. Once he gets that edge, it's like he has that extra gear.
Yeah, I like the way he navigated through that whole. He's just bigger, stronger.
Seems like he has good good vision
Yeah,
while he's in the open field.
He's a man among boys out there.
That was a nice route right there. That was a nice route.
Mm-hmm.
He
and
found
look at
that
the breakaway
zone.
speed.
Yep. Found that spot in the zone.
He's not just running one or two different routes too. It's nice to see he's got a little bit of, he's being used in a variety of ways. So when he goes to college, he's not going to have a huge learning curve.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think he gets on the field early at Missouri. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of talent.
It's an interesting choice. It's an interesting choice.
This is a big deal, him going to Missouri, man. Like I watched that whole video that at the very beginning. Ooh. It's a really big deal for this, that program to get this commit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that play. That was really nice.
That was nice right there.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, he's got that big, tall ability to get it in the back of the end zone.
Yep. Got his foot in. That was nice.
Yeah, there's some more coming. I forgot to clip this out. There's a few more plays coming. A little bit more one-on-one things that you can see. It's got that long speed.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Nice.
Contested catch. Nice leaping ability.
Did they not turn the lights on for this game? Oh, they did. They're just not there. Okay.
Not very bright lights, are they?
Yeah.
Look like he high pointed the ball there.
Yeah, nice body control on that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting some slot work too.
Yeah.
Gets right by the DB by 15 yards out of the snap.
They're at least pretending to press him.
Yeah.
So there's that. He's going to be familiar in a way.
I mean, good God.
Nice,
yak
ability.
They really like using that play up with him.
Oh, yeah. Man, he exploded through that.
Out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
try to do a little too much there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look how smaller that DB is than him, the poor kid.
Right.
Got no chance.
$1.65,
He's got no chance. He's got no chance.
Yeah, you need more cushion than that with this kid.
That was a nice break.
That was a nice route.
Yeah,
that was a nice route. Yeah. Sank his hips, everything.
Yeah, man. So, that's the so we're gonna go through there. So what are your guys' overall thoughts?
When we talked about him, I looked him up on was it 247 and watched his one of his junior films, and he had a little bit of a fun aggression in him too. He was when he throwing guys down after the cat or blocking and stuff like that, and I like him. I'm excited. I'm not gonna pretend to know a lot about this class, but I can see why he's second ranked. Honestly, size, speed, not much to hate.
He wanted to stay home, but I mean, I'm wondering if it really was the best decision for him to go here, though. I mean,
yeah, who do they have at quarterback over there?
I don't even know.
Badzigit, right?
Well, he's a junior, so he'll be a guy that comes back. I mean, he's I think he had 13 TDs and 7 interceptions when I was kind of poking around researching him a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's great. It's a great feel-good story of going to Missouri, but at the same time, it's not a program that
could hamper his NFL potential.
Yeah, the number nerds. I mean, we have one of them here on tonight's show, but if he doesn't get that early production, I mean, what are guys like Britt going to do?
I mean,
what do you do with a guy like this, Britt? If a high prospect who's got all the physical traits, the skill, but he goes to a program, how do you guys? I know you're very much into the analytic community. How do you adjust for that?
It's like a catch-22, right? Because if he produced early, like, okay, well, of course he produced. It's Missouri. He should be doing that. And then if he doesn't produce, it's like, well, why is he not producing? It's Missouri. What the hell? I think, it's really going to come down to how much exposure he gets playing, assuming that he gets the full complement and they work him in and he's working week 1. I mean, you kind of have to adjust with the breakout age a little bit, because obviously breaking out as an 18-year-old against SEC and breaking out against the Missouri teams, whatever conference they're in, it's not coming in my head right now. It's a little different.
They're in the SEC.
But I mean, ultimately, it's at the end of the day, it is, if you're putting up yards in production at a young age, that's what's the most important. Everything else is sort of helping decipher between the minor little areas. So I don't know. I kind of like it from an NIL perspective as well. He's going to be able to, if he is as good as we want him to be, he's going to be able to get a ton of money out of playing at Missouri because he's going to be the only guy there.
Yeah, he's going to own that campus.
Is
he's
this
going to have a key to
comparable
everything there.
Is this comparable to when Jarrett went to Maryland?
Could be.
Was that a shocker when Rakeem Jarrett went to Maryland? Because I think he's from that area too.
I think it's a good thing. And like you have to wonder, the production, with Tulia throwing him the ball hasn't been, it's been good. It hasn't been exceptional. Right. So again, from the numbers standpoint, that's going to knock him because it's going to be like, well, he wasn't productive. I've always said situation matters. I mean, you got a shitty quarterback. You got a coach that doesn't know what they're doing. You don't have a horrible offensive line. The guy can't get you the ball. I mean, there's so many factors to play whether a player is productive or not. So it's why, I appreciate and respect the numbers and the analytics, but I just think the situation plays such a role in the success of some of these players. So I don't know. I'm just being real, man. I'm just saying it like I think,
I see you saying it, and I see Britt just smirking.
I know.
I would have loved to see him in Georgia, man. Me too. Georgia's pumping him out right now. Yeah, those wide receivers. He would have been great there.
Well, I mean, Missouri's going to play Georgia. They're in the same division.
Yeah. At that point, too, if he feels most confident at Missouri and where he's most comfortable, you want a young guy like that surrounded by where he feels comfortable.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Right? True. I mean, it is because maybe those programs are just a little big for him. It goes back to those things I talk about, the intangibles all the time. Like you don't know how confident some of these kids are. He could be a shy guy that doesn't want the big campus and maybe doesn't want the bright lights. Even though he'll have the bright lights on him there, but there's a big difference of an Alabama bright light than a Missouri bright light, right?
Plus, situations are so fluid sometimes. I mean, you're absolutely right that they matter. And, if you're going to like a Bama, then you're not worried no matter what. But, Missouri, it's feasible that their program could turn it around. You get a big recruit like him. Maybe they put together a couple wins at the end of the season, get a few more. New coach, this, that, the other thing. College teams turn around so quickly sometimes. So
and he's pretty much guaranteed playing time to start. If he goes to Bama, he's not going to play. Look at Ajayi Hall.
Yeah, same with Georgia, I would imagine. They're both loaded at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, man. So we will do another film grind next week. So, I guess that's the show. Any final thoughts, guys? I mean, we got, and I haven't really looked at the slate of games this weekend. What are the good ones we got to be thinking about?
I haven't either. I'm going to the UNC.
I haven't even had a chance to check either.
All I want to say is Ajayi Hall, come home. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Go. What do you mean? What's home?
I don't know. Playing is home. Come and play.
Oh.
Play a game, Jai. Play a game.
Is he going to be a transfer guy? There's some buzz about that now with that
I don't know how
tweet he sent out, and
Oh, we got Michigan State this weekend.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a good one.
There you go.
That'll be a good one.
Hey, Rich, I wanted to ask real quick.
Early game.
Rich, and I think, Brandon, you're a Penn State guy too, aren't you?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that? That 7 overtime.
Look, I'm not answering questions at this time.
You taking the silent treatment? Taking the fifth?
Yeah, Rich isn't over it yet. I'm over it, man. I was over it by the time the Eagles game was done, I was not worrying about Penn State. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the program. I don't think they have a running back that's NFL worthy. I don't think they have any consistency in the running game. I think Clifford's average at best.
Let's go Drew Aller.
Dotson's great, but
he'll go to the NFL, and then I don't know. We'll have to see. I know everyone thinks it's Aller, and is going to be the savior, but we'll
Singleton.
see. I've seen it all before. But a lot of times they just don't play early on these rookies and freshmen. So
look,
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong. But, go ahead, Rich.
No, as a Penn State fan, I have to get excited for the little things. So Drew Aller being the QB1 of the class per 24/7,
Washington,
excited. Per Singleton being the RB1 of the class, got to get excited. I'll take my victories where I can, because as soon as they start playing and they lose to Ohio State next year and Michigan State, then I will be depressed again.
So I think you guys made history, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that the longest overtime period we have ever seen in college football?
Yeah, nine of them, I think.
Yep, 9.
It's incredible.
Something ridiculous. Yeah.
That's 8 2-point conversions that were successful.
Still hit the under. 9
That's
overtime.
amazing.
9 overtime. Still hit the under.
Now, was that good? I wasn't watching. Was it good offense going back and forth, or just complete
No.
trash?
So we had 9 overtimes, and the final score was 20-18.
Right.
It was an excellent game.
Yeah. That's
It was
brutal.
horrible. Like, it was bad.
That's all.
Did you watch it all the way through?
No, I had to stop.
Yeah.
We got to like the overtime 4, and I was like, you know what? Even if they win, they're going to drop in the ranks anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the show. I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see everyone next week. Again, you can find us here on the YouTube channel here at 9:00 Eastern time, and enjoy those games. It's going to go by quick. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Right on.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Thanks.